Welcome to Liz McMullen Show, episode 80. I have returning guest Jody Klaire on the show. Welcome back.
Hello.
So we have a very unusual recording situation right now. Normally I don't record until about 8, but Miss Jody is across the pond, like really across the pond in Wales.
I am.
And
swimming.
Yeah. And my parents are having an early dinner party because they're old, so their dinner parties happen earlier. And my father was a folk singer when he was younger, and his best friend, who he used to play guitar with a lot, is here. So occasionally, if you hear in the background some loud singing, because my father... It's my dad. It's my dad and his friends, and I'm so sorry. Anyway, so just wanted to warn you so you knew if it showed up in the background and you're like, what the fuck is that? It's my dad. My dad and his friends. Yeah. Yay. Yeah. Yeah. Baby boomer. Baby boomers.
I love it.
What were you saying, Jody?
I love it. My dad is the same. He's about 2 years older, maybe. Yeah, than your dad, and he was in a band in back in the day. And yeah, you can't shut him up singing either.
Oh, God. And I have
when they get going.
I know, and I have a feeling he's already way on his way to this. My pop was in. He just recently passed, but he was 92. And he used to shout sing as well, but he would shout sing hymns.
Yay.
Yeah, he's like, he also had Jesus Tourette's, which meant that everyone, it wouldn't take very many sentences for whatever's the subject being discussed to come around to loving Jesus. Which is which is kind of awesome, because I'm like, he's committed. He's very committed to his God.
God in all things.
Yes. So it's hilarious. I love it. Anyway, so that's the background. And what's interesting is we have Jody's debut novel, The Empath, is the focal point for this episode.
Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you, Jesus.
He does feature in it. So.
Thank you, Jesus.
Yes.
And this episode is brought to you by Jesus.
Yeah. Well, technically, I mean, I being a Christian, I suppose, he kind of inspires the book in a sense. So.
How do you, not a lot of people would understand or be fluent in what it's like to write a story that has paranormal aspects in it while also being a devoted Christian.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is I kind of see it as spirituality. So like the passage that I've got in the book that I use to show is kind of how if you listen to your previous show with the empath panel, it's about how empathic people build a sort of barrier to help themselves be disconnected from the overstimulation of the world. And in the gospel, Paul, who's not a very popular man, but he does come up with the occasional gem. It came up with a thing called the armor of God, which he kind of just describes how to kind of protect yourself from negativity. And obviously it's in a Christian format. So even if you don't understand the Christian context of it, you can understand that if you build an armor, it will protect you from bad things like fear and doubt. And basically the book came to me when I was doing my Jesuit 19th annotation, which is kind of meditations. And that's kind of how it started. It all came from there. So it's kind of, although it's not, there is Christianity in it because it's for me, so there will be bits of me in the book. But it's kind of taking the ethos of it. So it's not necessarily faith orientated in the sense that you need to go to church to understand any of it, but it is orientated in that way, as in it's kind of good versus evil. So you kind of, if you're a good person and you believe in hope and peace and being true to who you are, then you'll get the concept.
Yeah, when I was reading it, I mean, for those of you who are listening, I'm teasing on Jody a little bit, but just a tad, like, if like the prototypical American spotlight in her eyes, and she's tied to the chair, and I haven't let her out anything to drink, or eat for hours.
No. she's just vicious like that.
Yeah, I'm a cold.
Terrible.
I'm cold-hearted. Cold-hearted.
Yet I keep coming back.
Yes, and that's kind of Catholic of you.
Thank you.
Did you know, like, this is a sniglet, did you know that the largest amount of folks who are into the BDSM stuff tend to be Catholic men?
Oh dear.
Yes. So, penitence and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so reading your book, the main character, Aaron, is an empath. And as somebody who has myself, I have some empathic abilities, I find it horrifying that she would not only be institutionalized for mental health, but be there for, was it nearly a decade? How long was she in there?
Yeah, she's in there for she's let out just before the 11-year mark. So
that just is horrifying to me, because I'm not so great around large concentrations of either people who have mental illness or people who have substance abuse problems, because they feel weird to me. Yeah. Not like I've got my own mental shit, but I like when you're empathic, you kind of feel somebody's emotions and their eccentricities, and also the different things that are flowing through their body. And so if you're with somebody who's got a substance abuse problem, or is an alcoholic, or has other things that are challenging their brain and their system, it's really overwhelming when it flows into yours. You're like, whoa.
and that's why I did it, because it was the worst place you could put somebody who feels, as you know, it's like even being around sick people. If you're empathic, you probably feel their pain and things like that. So it's not the nicest thing to do to someone. But
no. She coped. She figured it out, and I love how smart she is.
Do you?
I do. I love how smart she is, because she had everyone's number, not just because of her empathic ability, but because she's very witty and sharp and astute, and would just like, oh, you want to mess with me? You want to play these games? Well, watch out, sister. I've got things to say.
Well, that's the one thing I always like to have in my books, is that the greatest power a woman has is her mind. We as a gender have an incredible astuteness for kind of seeing through people, if we open ourselves up to it. But that's kind of the characters I loved the most, was that the character that could cut through somebody.
Cut the crap. If you want to know something else really funny and awesome and amusing, as I take my spotlight and put it back on you, is how completely incapable of properly cursing you are.
I am. I'm British born and bred. I just don't do cursing.
Well, there are plenty of cursers in the British Isles.
Well, there were yesterday when Wales lost to England in the Six Nations on Friday. Then there were some choice words.
Was that soccer or rugby?
It was rugby, which is even worse than soccer. We always lose, but yeah, we lost on our own home soil to England in the opening game. It was they could have hammered us to it was just terrible.
Well, rugby, I played rugby myself. I don't know if you've played it.
I have.
You have? Okay.
Yeah.
So I was an 8-man, loved the position. You should have seen how built my shoulders and my legs got. I even got that thing, on my hips, when you see somebody who's so muscular and athletic, they have that kind of little dent in their hips and they're just solid. Yeah. And that's all from kind of trying to keep 7 women moving forward as they get pushed to the left and the right. So it's like, it's this very megalomaniac position.
It is. Well, I was the one behind you on the wing going, well done. Now give me the ball.
You're the fly half?
I was the winger.
Okay.
So when I got the ball, I something I would score, but you had to wait for everybody else to play with it for a while first.
Yeah.
And then
I joke that rugby is like there are 2 positions in rugby. The brute strength and them bitches who are fast.
Yeah. who run like I've got my ribs rearranged on one side because I ran into a prop.
Oh.
Yeah, she caught me actually and squashed me.
Oh, for those of you who don't understand that there are different in the scrum, which is like the kind of like if you think about football and you have the 2 sides facing each other, that's basically the name of that group of players. And the way that it's we're very interesting Legos. The first layer, there are 2 props, and they tend to be very stocky, short folks. Maybe not really short, but just stocky, right? Or heavy girls, like the kind that it would be like going into a brick wall. And they hold what's called a hooker. And for Americans, it's always really amusing because that's for a lady of the night, but they're called a hooker because they hook the ball with their feet.
They do.
So the 2 props are on either side of the hooker holding her up. And the hookers tend to be really short, tiny people for it to, function very well.
Dangle.
Yeah.
Dangle
in order to be able to dangle. And like one of my favorite ones, we called her Tweety because she had long blonde hair that she had, back in a ponytail. So Tweety Bird. And so anyway, so there are those folks. Then if you're tall, you have like 2 options actually. You can be a second or you can be an 8-man. And the seconds are 2 people who they stick their head between the hips of the prop and the hooker and hold them together so they don't fall down. And then behind them is the 8-man, which is my position, where I put my head between the hips of the seconds and I hold them together so they don't fall down. And then because you have the opposite team pressing against you. So if it's uneven, the 8-man's supposed to correct it so it goes straight forward. And then there are people who are in the scrum that can actually just detach easily, and they're more involved in getting the ball out to fast pitches who can get the try, for us, which is
we'll basically just try and survive.
Yes,
just try and avoid you guys in the middle.
I just got this picture of you being accordioned by a poor prop. Oh my God.
But the worst injury I ever had was actually from a fly half that is a well-known fly half in the international standards. And I just had to run into her. That was all during a squad practice. And I ran into her and I slid down it because although she was skinnier than me and smaller than me, she was a UK powerlifting champion. And it hurt very much. It really hurt.
God, one time I had this bruise that was actually inside my thigh, so you couldn't see a bruise by looking at it, but it was so painful that I actually had to use my 2 hands whenever I was going in and out of a car, especially a low sedan. I'd have to pick up my thigh from underneath and lug it out of the car and then put my regular leg out so I could get up and stand.
Yeah. Rugby isn't a sport for the faint-hearted.
No. No, it is a very brutal sport. So as you can imagine, if the players are doing, I believe it's much more violent than American football. They're all you have protecting you is your mouth guard. Not even like soccer that we don't have shin guards.
Yep.
It's just your body. But what I joked was the reason why I played rugby and not lacrosse or field hockey is I was like, yes, but there are no weapons. So the hardest thing that you can be hit by is somebody else's body. You're not going to get cracked in the head by a stick or somebody trip you with their stick or something like that.
Well, unfortunately for me, I was the goalie in field hockey, the goalie in football, as well as playing rugby. So, yeah, that's probably why I'm in a chair. I'm guessing probably something to do with it. No, but yeah, I was a glutton for punishment, I think.
Yeah, and you also had some rock and roll in your life.
I did. I probably had more damage from the carrying amps. It's not for the faint-hearted either, but yeah. I did that for 17 years.
So listen, fellas and ladies and whomever, Jody is a badass. Don't let her pictures like fool you. She played rugby and all these other sports and carrying amps and playing the bass and not bass. I can't believe I said that when we're doing the reading.
I love it.
Do you know what? I didn't even know how bass was actually spelled. I thought bass was spelled like baseball.
I know. It just confused you. It's like I still, even though I was, I studied rhythm and stuff like that, I still spell rhythm wrong.
I don't know how to spell rhythm, and like I feel like spell check has a lack of imagination because I try my best to make it as close to what it could possibly be spelled like, and it still goes, I got nothing.
Yeah, well, I have that difficulty with because Aaron's series is all in American speak, and my other series is all British spelling. So sometimes I'm like, I spell British spellings and the American spellings, and Americans, and I'm like, oh, is it realize or realize?
Is it theater or theater?
Yeah, exactly. I know. And as I've stuck French in for a future project, it's like, is it théâtre? Is it, which one is it? Which language am I in? So it's difficult. But yeah, my spelling is terrible. Always has been.
Yeah, I don't know why I just segued in my mind to see. Could you imagine Erin playing rugby?
She'll be great, wouldn't she?
Oh my God. She would be.
But it would hurt, because every time she hits someone, she'd either heal them, see their past, or pass out. So she probably wouldn't be the greatest, but at least she'd know it was coming.
Oh my Lord.
So she'd be able to throw the ball out before anyone got to it. But yeah, she'd be great.
She's built, folks. Like, that's what I'm trying to get to. She's tall and she's built.
6'5" and built like Samson.
Yeah. Hear it? Told you.
I can. Love it.
My dad just sings louder.
I love it. Aaron would love it. It's adding a bit of music in.
Oh my God.
It's not like Sonata, but it's...
The problem is I have attention deficit disorder. So every time something very calamitous, it's like my brain recalibrates and it's like, all right, what was I saying? What were we doing? But I'm sorry, I can't have that happen and like think at the same time. So I've heard a rumor that you have other books in the works.
I do. Aaron #2, Blind Trust, will be out in spring. That's all with the editor. I'm writing the third one of that one at the moment. I'm rewriting, basically it's a thriller. That was the first book I ever wrote, called Fractured, which was kind of the things I've learned in the GCLS Writing Academy and during my time writing The Empath. Yeah, a nod to the GCLS.
Yay!
Is that I took the decision to rewrite it because I thought I could do it better, and I've been doing that the last couple of weeks, which is slow for me because I write it a very odd speed. It normally takes me about 2 weeks to write a first draft. But the fact that I've taken longer for it, I've learned a lot. So I think it could be a better book for it. And then I'm writing a romance, which will be out for the GCLS, we hope, which is my first ever kind of straight down the line romantic comedy. So, I'm looking forward to that because obviously I haven't done anything specifically. I'm normally in a thriller genre, so it was fun to and there is some choice words in the book and some making fun of the fact which people can't swear.
Well, I mean, I'd argue people with a Cockney accent can curse. Yeah,
they're Londoners, so the Londoners are very good at swearing. They have a, they live in the capital, so they need to know how to do these things.
Are you trying to tell me people in the country don't curse? I have a hard time believing that. I'm sorry.
we just don't curse in English, maybe.
You're a good girl. Don't deny it. Good girls don't cuss. It's in you.
I've probably got lots of rugby people listening to this going, yeah, right.
Where do you think we learned all of our dirty drinking songs from?
Exactly.
You folks. We got all our rugby from you folks, so sorry.
Yeah, so it must be that.
One of the things that I loved about rugby was that you could beat the crap out of each other for 2 40-minute halves and then get drunk with them and sing really dirty songs together.
Well, yeah, I mean, we used to have the karaoke competition after it, so, we'd have great fun. I think one of the French teams was the funniest one because their version of English songs were as ridiculous as our French version, so it was great fun. Good times.
See, this is something that you wouldn't have known about Jody if you didn't listen to my show, that she is a badass who is too polite to cuss.
Yes.
And she wrote a short story where there was a musician who equally was incapable of cussing, and even while egged on by an American, no less.
Yes, because you're not that you're troublemakers or anything. Leading us down the garden path.
Yeah, fucking rabble rousers. I'm a part of this group of folks on Facebook who are avid cursers, and so whenever there's a meme of any sort relating to cursing and stuff like that, we always post it on the other person's page, and we're all like, "Oh, for fuck's sake! Oh, fuckity fuck!" I don't know what you're fucking talking about. And similar things, and so we bond on our fuck fluency.
Well, it's always good to, I suppose, at least you're discussing language.
That was very See, nice girl, nice Christian girl with manners, who happens to play badass sports and a guitar.
Yeah, I lead guitar too, not just the bass.
See that? She's not impervious to ego. She's only impervious to cussing.
Yes. Hey, I'm human.
Yes, you are. And
but I have the calluses all over my hands to prove it. That's what you got to. It's a pride.
See,
it's kind of like.
I could make a rude comment about that, but I won't. But I want my listeners to think about what rude comment I could be making about the calluses on your hands.
Probably from writing.
Yeah. That's what I meant. I totally meant that. That's what I was thinking. Of course. Yeah. No. Well, something kind of rad happened for your first book. You were a Rainbow Award finalist.
As were you, can I just add? Yay!
Yay!
I wasn't expecting that.
Oh.
That was cool because, you know, if anyone's read The Empath that's listening to this, which hopefully they will, or they will go do now, right now, is that I was, you know, because obviously Renee is a secondary character and is, you know, the only woman in the book that could at least be set aside as a lesbian, but Aaron obviously is a different creature because her deal is dealing with who she is and being true to herself first of all. So there's no talk of her feeling anything for anyone because she's not in that state of mind. So it was kind of, we worried that perhaps people would not see that as a declaration, you know, because there's this whole thing of maybe somebody has to declare things and things like that. So,
just to give you the long story short of what she's trying to say is that there is tension of a sort, but Erin's got bigger problems right now. So even though there's tension, you know, there's no direct declarations. It's not like, you know, and then they hug and kiss passionately and make love for hours, which is interesting because we have to close out the interview, but I wanted to bring up the project that I'm working on because it's kind of related to that in that it's a YA novel and it's going to be a part of it's paranormal and it's going to be a part of a series. And my co-author and I sat down when we had the concept of the book before we kind of decided whether it was YA or main or having romance. Excuse me. And when we decided YA, we also decided no sexual content.
Ooh, yeah. That'll be hard for you guys.
Well, actually, no. And the thing is, like, well, if you read my novel, which you haven't because it has scary bits in it.
But I will read your other ones.
Okay. Well, I keep on writing paranormals. You're never going to read my
stop
stuff.
writing scary stuff.
Okay. I was like, oh my God, you're never going to be able to read my stuff. Anyway, so there is tension. There is going to be a potential relationship between two characters, and that's very obvious. But it's not a romance, and we're not going to have the whole tumble in bed thing for the two characters. They might kiss at the end. I don't know. But for us, for it to be YA and to fit, because YA is not just read by teenagers. YA is read by younger kids too.
Yeah.
And we wanted the book to be something parents would let their younger kids read. Yeah.
And focus on what's the important bit is the feeling behind it as opposed to the physical. You know, there's the physical side of things, which obviously older readers tend to like sometimes, but it's the emotional connection between two people, which is the bit that's I think decides love between lust. So, well, I kind of like that build up.
Yeah, I think emotion's a part of anything that I write, regardless of its sexual content. I have one thing that is all sexual content. And even then, even when I thought I was writing something bold and brassy with no sentimentality, my friend Beth Burnett is kind to remind me that there are moments of sweet tenderness in there. I was like, but yeah, the important part was the series is called Finding Home. And the important part for Kayla is finding a forever home. She's been in and out of foster homes. It's 13 different ones, actually 12 different ones, and this will be her 13th. And so it's more about her finding a place to be and with people who are like her. And of course, there's suspense and drama and danger and lots of laughing, lots of humor. I love making people laugh. And I think that if you're writing something really intense like a thriller or whatnot, there has to be, you have the rubber band and it's stretched and you got to let go of it every once in a while or you're going to make people crazy.
And people do laugh in those situations. That's the thing. It is natural that somebody would say something funny.
Yeah.
would. So.
And it's something absurd. And sometimes you just need to like loosen up or have some other kind of energy going on. It's like in my novel, in this in-between part between something very serious happening and something very serious experienced, the two characters who are best friends are horse playing with each other while going for a run. Like really horse playing, like not one tackles the other, like the other, bends over and picks up a huge pile of leaves and runs behind her friend and dumps it down the back of her sweatpants.
It's a good move.
It is just, and then of course after doing that, running like lightning.
Yeah. That's when she becomes the winger.
Yes. And then the other one picks up, a rotten apple, an apple that fall on the floor and like beans them in the shoulder. But it's all just to make it's like the kind of horseplay to kind of let people breathe and then get back into it again. But it's exciting.
There's a lot of that in my stuff as well. If not quite leads down the trousers, but I think the humor is definitely.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
You have humor and you have some galactic fade to black action in a bath. I mean, you don't even. It's like you only haze a reality slightly. Obliquely, somewhat off to the side. If you're looking at it with the right light, then you can see it.
Yeah. You squint sideways and turn it upside down, you might see something. Yeah.
And on that note, you should. I advise, because we're closing the interview, I advise for you to get the most out of the empath is to go to your nearest playground and go on like the monkey bars, hang your legs underneath like one of them and lean back and read it upside down.
Wow. Yeah, that's if you're physically capable. If you're delicate, please don't.
You're so.
Do it on your bed or something. Lay on the bed. But yeah, you might get head rush.
Folks, did you see her immediate reaction?
I did. I was very gentle.
She was very gentle and very sweet and very kind and thoughtful. And if you're frail or you're not comfortable because you'll get a head rush, you may want to lie down in bed and read it.
You might. Which hopefully it will give you those sensations wherever you read it. To be honest with you, but yeah.
Oh my God, it's always a pleasure to have you on, Jody.
I just have half hour of ridicule. I've been tied to the chair. She'll just keep going now, and then make her father sing to me for the next hour or so, probably. What do you reckon?
Of course, it's like dead silence now that we're finishing our recording. Of course, and thank you, listeners, for working through it because I don't know how my mic is sensitive, so I don't know how much of it has actually gotten onto the recording and how much of it was only in my mind. But it's been a thrill to have you on, Jody. I dig you.
Thank you. I dig you too.